have our first upset of the FIFA World Cup 2022 in the books. I'm your host, Damien Best, and this is Matchday Live from the 246, all sponsored by Guardian Group. Renaldo Gilkes joins us once again, and we've got a double change tonight as well. Ytannia Wiggins and Grell Griffith. Ytannia is a former manager of the Barbados Women's Under-20 and senior teams and a certified referee at level 1 and level 1 coach, that is. Now, Keith is a local legend, of course, 105 caps for Barbados and former head coach of national teams who recently celebrated his 78th birthday. Welcome to you both. Keith, congratulations as well. And just some housekeeping before we get to our analysts. Taking a look at our CBC Fantasy Football League. After day 3, Liquid Pope is out front with 54 points, Screws 91, second on 53. If you want to be part of it all, you know the drill. Use the FIFA Plus app or the desktop version via your computer and look for CBC Fantasy League. The code to enter, 0ZVH29KR. That's OZVH29KR. So you get your chance to be part of the CBC Fantasy League. The predictor game as well is there, and you can see that at the bottom of your screen as we go along. You can send your predictions and your opinions on the World Cup as well via WhatsApp at 228-5562. We'll take a quick commercial break and get you set up for that first match, Argentina versus Saudi Arabia. This is Matchday Live from the 246. I'm your host, Damien Best. Well, Saudi Arabia produced a monumental World Cup upset, coming back from 1-0 down to beat one of the pre-tournament favorites, Argentina, 2-1. Let's take a look.
Delivery from Messi. Takes it. And there is an issue which has halted play here, and a possible check for a penalty kick here.
I think this is as the ball will come over.
What's the decision? It is penalty for an early lead. Lionel Messi, always centre stage. Messi often has two around him. Now an opportunity for Saudi Arabia. It is taken! A blockbuster start to the second half for Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia committing plenty forward here. And the strike is decent. And away off Romero from Nawaf Al-Abid. Oh, and that's a brilliant effort! And they've turned it right around! Space of a few minutes, Saudi Arabia grab control of the game.
Tremendous performance by Saudi Arabia. What a job against a top team like that. Well, Keith, the last World Cup for Lionel Messi. not the way he wanted to start, but after converting the penalty, do you think he went missing in this match?
Well, I don't think he went missing, but he's not the same class act that we know of previously. But he would always be a top player, and Argentina game is around Messi. But I must compliment Saudi Arabia. They played with venom, they were fast, and they were very strong. And on the day, they were the better team.
Fantastic. Ronaldo, coach of the Saudi Arabia team, Frenchman Hervé Renard, must be praised. They are the first non-European team to beat Argentina at the World Cup since Cameroon in 1990.
Yeah, all credit to Saudi Arabia for achieving that result. Hervé Renard, he is renowned in the African continent. He has won the African Cup of Nations with two different teams. First with Zambia in 2012, and then 3 years later with the Ivory Coast. But he will be most remembered for what he achieved today. Last World Cup, let's go back a bit, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, he was coaching Morocco at the FIFA World Cup. If we do remember, Morocco drew their opening match with Spain 2-2. Then after that, they had narrow defeats to Iran, and they were able to basically hold off the rest of the even though they didn't qualify. So Hervé Renard is renowned for grinding out results, getting good results from what we would consider minnows. When you look at Saudi Arabia in their setup, they were very aggressive on the press. They press high, which if any of you guys remember John Ruddy, who the played for England, go through for Norwich, he had explained when John Ruddy coached him at Cambridge that he was one who believed a lot on the physical preparation and nutrition of the players. He believed in playing high and intense football, and that's exactly what we saw for Saudi Arabia. And I mean, they were also keen on playing with the ball as well. So it wasn't just a case of, oh, we can go in there and defend, we can go in there and just try to nullify Messi and the rest of the crew. They wanted to play, and based on what you saw from that second goal, we see that there's some technical quality. So credit to Saudi Arabia, but particularly we must give praise to Hervé Renard for getting the plan right. I know a lot of people would be shocked based on what we saw where we had Argentina getting 2 goals, subsequently chalked off because they were offside because of the high line Saudi Arabia were playing. But that is typically Hervé Renard's style. And again, credit to the coach and the Saudi Arabian team.
Fantastic analysis there. Can't agree with you more. Ytannia, how did the Green Falcons transition during this game? They defended well in that first half and again came out in the second with renewed vigor. Definitely the plan by the coach worked.
I'm going to say it was no luck. This was a well-prepared team with a clear plan and excellent execution from the Green Falcons. When you consider, similar to Qatar, they play exclusively in their own domestic league, that's the Saudi Pro League, and they're the second lowest ranked team in this tournament after Ghana. And despite being a goal down from Messi's 10-minute penalty, VAR again, the Saudi Arabia team put up a very high defensive line, as Ronaldo said, and the aim was to trap the Argentinian attackers offside. And this tactic worked. The coach's tactics worked, as the Argentinian attackers were caught offside a total of 10 times in this match. And when you think that Lorato Martinez scored twice and only to be denied by the linesman. So like in the 48th minute, when the Saudi Arabian defender dispossessed Messi before putting Al Sharif through on goal, who made no mistake with that brilliant left-footed strike. And I think that goal was the team's first shot in the match, if I'm right. And it kind of energized the Middle Eastern side. And then minutes later, you had Al-Dosari scoring an absolute blinder of a goal in the 53rd minute to put his team up front. So, I mean, after the 2-1 up, one would have expected that the Saudis would have ditched this high defensive line strategy. They kind of stuck to it to the end. They endured, although there were some nervy moments because, you know, Messi and Di Maria started to influence the Argentinians' attack with a little bit more authority. But I thought the Green Falcons held on as Argentina slumped to a loss that no one saw coming at all.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we had that in our predictions. I think none of the panel already had that. Their predictor. We were looking at a different score like completely. Now I'm going to throw this one out and you can start with Keith. Is Argentina an overrated side at the World Cup?
No, based on their performance in the Copa, where they won it beating Brazil, they are not an overrated team. What has happened, and one must recognize this, Messi is one of the best footballers of all time, but he doesn't have the pace anymore. And the Saudi Arabia players were tackling him very strongly. So I would not say that Argentina is dead, buried, and gone. They have two matches because the other match in the group ended in a tie. So if Argentina can win their two remaining matches, they will be in the last 16, and I'm sure they will continue to progress.
Definitely. Well, we're going to have lots of discussion on that. I don't know, Ronaldo, you certainly wanted to chime in there.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to ease the hearts and minds of my Argentinian friends and supporters. Just remember that Spain, they too, they lost the first game in 2010 and they lost to the Netherlands and they won. So, there's still hope yet.
That's good news, good news. Well, we're going to take your WhatsApp in just a moment. I know we got lots of WhatsApps backed up coming through about this whole Argentina defeat today. But we're going to get back to that in just a moment. We've got to move on to the other big game as well. Goals from Olivier Giroud. Well, he inspired France, who had to come from behind to beat Australia 4-1. Let's take a look at how that happened. Well, this outstanding. That's part of the action there. Ronaldo, the Aussies were able to score first. The end result of positive tactics.
Yeah, and I think a bit of enthusiasm and belief from what happened early in the day, but also based on what happens from history. Traditionally, the reigning kings or the reigning champions, they often start a bit slow and they're a bit vulnerable. But this French team was obviously too good. But the Godwin scored that goal today, and it showed that France is vulnerable, especially in the wing back areas. Pavard got caught napping, and when they was doing the analysis on a couple of the channels I would have watched, it showed that his attention wasn't where it should have been, which should have been to the outside player. That's a direct matchup. And the Aussies did that particularly well in terms of stretching them horizontally, which is from wing to wing. And that was supposed to create extra spaces in the midfield for players such as Moy to exploit. But again, this French team was just too good. I know my coach and our football father, Keith, will be smiling because he's a devoted Frenchman from the time I knew myself and the time I knew him. So credit to the French for coming from behind, really.
Yeah, fantastic. Keith, happy with the way Giroud performed in the absence of Karim Benzema?
Not only Giroud, that was a blessing for Giroud, because Benzema would have started and Giroud would have been on the bench. But he has done extremely well for France. He had 49 goals coming into this one, and he wanted to catch up with one of our outstanding players of all time, Thierry Henry, who has 51. So you call that a blessing from God. But in general, France played with flair, style, and panache, and we taught Australia a lesson in soccer.
I like the way you put it. Ytannia, what is the destiny of this Group D? France will battle Denmark on Saturday. What happens there as we progress in that encounter? That you think maybe you can see a little more of a challenge for this French side?
The Euro 2021 semi-finalists are pretty much considered by many a professional candidate maybe to pick France for the first place in the group. But they could have done better than a 0-0 draw against number 30 ranked Tunisia. And Tunisia now will fancy their chances maybe to compete for a berth with a point in hand. I think the next round of matches will prove interestingly highlighted by the much anticipated France versus Denmark clash, as the Danes look to kind of make it 3 wins in a row against the world champions after their Nation League triumphs earlier this year. And the two outsiders, Tunisia and Australia, well, they go head to head, and only a win can realistically keep either their hopes alive going into the final day.
Yeah, you paint an interesting picture there. Ronaldo, Mbappe, we talk a lot about Giroud and scoring, but Mbappe was a menace to the Australians.
I think he was a huge difference. Now, his speed really creates a lot of spaces for others. I mean, a lot of attention will be focusing on his goal scoring prowess, but he creates a lot of space for so many others. And as it showed, he's capable of contributing in the assist column as well. So Mbappe, obviously the golden boy for France. We saw what he did in 2018, and he's matured a bit, and we are seeing the fruits of that right now.
Yeah, player of the match in that encounter. Well, we'll take another break here, but still to come, we'll look at the play of the day, the CBC Fantasy League as well. Keep you up to date if you missed it. On so much more, we've got two other games as well we've got to talk about. This is Match Day Live from the 246. Well, this is Match Day Live from the 246, all sponsored by Guardian Group. Checking in with the football fans now after today's action in Qatar. The WhatsApp number 228-5562. We want to hear from you. Let's talk about all the things that transpired today. What do you think about the tournament so far? Well, we had in the second game of the day, Denmark were held to a frustrating 0-0 draw by Tunisia in Group D. And it did have a record in it despite the goalless result. 15 of the 24 shots in this match came via a corner situation, the most recorded in a single World Cup match since 1966. I'm not sure if that's a pretty record. Then Robert Lewandowski is still searching for his first ever World Cup goal after
when he was most recognized for the 9 saves he made against Germany. If you remember, Mexico defeated Germany 1-0, and he made 9 saves that were outstanding. I think he was voted man of the match for that particular one. And he's no stranger. I mean, at 37 years old, his first real play again was in 2014 in Brazil, and he showed his quality there. It's always, an extra boost to have a goalkeeper of such quality. You could tell by the way he communicates, the way he organizes his team. So it's like you're not necessarily you're playing with 11. You know, sometimes people omit the goalkeeper in the play or the style of play when discussing the player. But Ochoa is definitely the spine and the backbone of this Mexican team.
Yeah, I suspect they will go deep with his kind of effort. Keith, a CONCACAF team showing they can hang with the European sides.
Well, that was really outstanding from the Mexicans. They played extremely well. They passed the ball around with authority and conviction. And what is good about that from a CONCACAF perspective, as you remember, Trinidad and Jamaica, English-speaking CONCACAF teams, reached the World Cup. So that should inspire other teams from the CONCACAF zone to push on and try to reach the next World Cup.
Yeah, especially Barbados, who are looking further down the road at some sort of World Cup qualification. Now, this question will throw out to each of you. Mexico, well, they're back in action on Saturday when they play Argentina. And the same day, Poland play Saudi Arabia. Now, that is going to be an interesting day. We'll start with Ytannia. Your thoughts on that fixture in particular? The Mexicans will have another tough assignment.
I mean, Mexico and Poland could not take advantage of Argentina misstep today. And the 0-0 draw left both knockout contenders with a single point. Pretty much Argentina could still finish top in the group, but they will have to lift themselves up from the loss we saw today. And with that match against Mexico up next, I think it will be a battle between Lewandowski and Poland.
And Ronaldo, for you, Argentina will have to up their game.
Yeah, I mean, it's one where Mexico can expect to be battered with attacks. Obviously, Argentina has to come and basically prove to the world that they can bounce back from such a result and also prove that they are definite World Cup contenders. How Mexico operate with less of the ball, because as we saw today and as Ytannia rightfully mentioned, they did dominate possession today. So how well can they transition from not having as much possession as they did? I believe, and they have shown this throughout their CONCACAF dominance, that they're a very good team in transition, particularly from defense to attack. They're very swift. They win the ball and pounce very quickly because they play with two forwards, and that often causes a bit of a headache when you have a case of two centre backs. And I believe that it should be an interesting game. I don't believe that I could particularly put my finger on who will win, but I could tell you who would prefer to win based on where you live.
But I know you want Messi, a company, to win to at least have a chance to progress.
I live in the CONCACAF Confederation, so I'll leave it there.
Oh, I see. Well, Keith, obviously Poland going to play Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia really with nothing to lose. They started really well. Lewandowski had 9 touches in the opposition penalty area at the 2018 World Cup. Will he still be a factor in that contest?
I believe so, and Saudi Arabia, to me, have won their Gold Cup already by beating Argentina. They will dance, jump, do all kind of nice things over in Qatar. But as far as Argentina is concerned, if Messi plays a little higher up the pitch and in and around the area, I believe that they will beat Mexico. I will not call a scoreline or anything, but Argentina will not want to go home to their fans won a game. So they know it's now or never. And I expect Messi to show his true class, because from my perspective, in the years I've been watching World Cup, after Pele and Maradona, Messi and Ronaldo are the 2 best players, along with Zinedine Zidane. So I expect him to step up and Argentina to step up.
Well, we got a question here on the WhatsApp. Well, a suggestion. France's Kylian Mbappe will emerge the leading World Cup goal scorer. His exceptional dribbling skills, fluent burst of speed. Oh, this is poetry. Obviously, Mbappe will be a big factor here, guys. Let's start with Ytannia. Going forward, his presence will be one that will attract a lot of attention. I'm sure that he's going to be well marked going forward.
I think it's going to be hard to close him down, and we see that in the league. I think teams are going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how they're going to play against him. But I agree with our WhatsApp person. I'm going to hang my hat there and think that he's going to be the leading goal scorer for this World Cup. Yeah,
that Tunisia game, we got another WhatsApp. Tunisia game was pretty interesting as well. It was end-to-end stuff, but we still didn't have the magic in that that 6-yard area or so. You just couldn't find it somehow, Pee Wee.
Yeah, I mean, I actually enjoyed that game. It was end-to-end stuff against the Danes. It was pretty open. Both teams had opportunities. But again, World Cup experience is a hell of a thing, man. You must have that pedigree, and it showed that they faltered when the opportunity came to them. And they were fortunate that the Danes didn't capitalize because they too had their opportunities.
Yeah, thanks so much for your thoughts so far. Well, we're going to take another break. We'll be back with our play of the day and look at Wednesday's fixtures. Welcome back to Matchday Live from the 246. It's time for our play of the day. It goes to Salim Al Aswari of Saudi Arabia, a stunning goal to beat Argentina. An absolute brilliant strike. Well, just a reminder of tomorrow's matches now. In Group F, it's Morocco versus Croatia at 6 a.m. while Belgium will play Canada at 3 p.m. And in Group E, Germany battle Japan at 9 o'clock. Then it's Spain versus Costa Rica at 12. That's noon. All the action live, of course, on CBC TV8. Ladies and gentlemen, what are your predictions for these games coming up tomorrow? Morocco versus Croatia, Germany versus Japan, Spain against Costa Rica, Belgium up against Canada. Let's start with Keith.
The FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022.
I will not come up with a score line, but because of their experience at this level, they will advance with a victory. But having seen Saudi Arabia, you never know. It's on the day.
What is your key fixture, Ronaldo?
I'm looking forward to the Canada game in particular. You know, they're back for the first time in 36 years. They topped the CONCACAF table, defeating the USA, defeating Mexico, and so on. So I'm keen to see how they compete against the Belgians, who would have obviously finished third in the last edition of the competition. So that's my key fixture to watch.
Ytannia?
For me, I'm going to go with Group F, Morocco versus Croatia, because I think Morocco has some great dribbling midfielders in the tournament. Zinedine, the 22-year-old player. And in Group F, I definitely want to check out Germany versus Japan.
Very, very interesting. Well, you know, you've got your predictions going as well, ladies and gentlemen. and I look forward to see if they come to fruition. But we have reached the end of the show. Towards the end, we've got some WhatsApp still flowing through. They're talking about the shocking World Cup results. Keep them flowing, folks. We're going to keep you up to date. We know it's a fast-paced half an hour, and we look forward to more action tomorrow and throughout the week. I'll take a break tomorrow. Amory Burke sits in the chair tomorrow, but she'll keep you up to date as well. We've come to another Matchday Live end. And of course, you can continue to follow all the activities here on CBC TV. Thanks so much to our sponsors and of course the Guardian Group. On behalf of the entire team, this has been Matchday Live from the 246, all sponsored by the Guardian Group. I'm Damien Best. See you tomorrow.